You are listening to The Underground Subway with host David Alston, a podcast dedicated to giving you the strategies to live a free and better life. Here is David Alston.
He comforts me in, and the comfort can get so sweet until I thank him for the problem in order to get the comfort, because it's not about what I have, it's about who I am. You've been so caught up on what you have that you forgot to become who you should be, because you put all your marbles in money and put it all in clothes. But he said it ain't about what you wear, it's about who you are, because things come and go, but who you are will stand when the winds blow. I wish I had time to preach it. I heard him say, upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell.
Hi, I'm David Alston, host of the Underground Subway, a podcast dedicated to one thing, and that is giving you the tools, the strategies, the ideas, and the concepts necessary to live a free, a better life than what we're currently living. All of us have room for improvement. All of us have room to live a better life. And this podcast is dedicated to bringing you quality, qualified guests on a regular basis to give you their expertise, their experiences, their strategies, and their tools so that we can live a better life. Listen, as I always tell you, my grandmother was first cousins with Harriet Tubman. One thing Harriet Tubman said was that she could have freed a lot more slaves if only they knew that they were free. How many of us are living a life in which we have chains holding us back, yet we don't know it? Well, my friends, we're going to reveal some change. We're going to give you the opportunity to live a free and better life. You heard a clip of my guest. I'm excited. I'm super excited. I'm beyond excited. I'm beyond measure excited about my guest. You heard a brief clip of what he does best, and that's excite the world. He is known to many. I haven't heard anyone yet that has not declared that he is the preacher's preacher. He is the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be, in my opinion. Not only is he a great preacher, he is a close friend, a good friend. We have traveled together. We laughed together, spent time in the hotel laughing and falling on the floor. We eat, play chess. My good friend and my brother, and he has so graciously taken time out of his schedule to come and talk to us on the Underground Subway to help give us some strategies. I am so excited, and I want to welcome to the Underground Subway as we used to say in North Philly, my home skillet, none other than the senior pastor of the City of Refuge in Gardenia, California, Bishop Noel Jones. My friend, thank you for joining me.
I'm happy to be here with you, and as usual, it's always a blast when I'm around you in a very positive way, because we generally deal with things that are significantly important for the benefit of those who are anywhere in our space at any time. So it's always good. I'm glad, and thank you for inviting me.
My friend, before I start and give you this question, I would like to, on behalf of all of the listeners of the Underground Subway, just give you a sincere and heartfelt congratulations on your recent nuptials to the lovely Miss Loretta Jones. Congratulations on
Thank you very much.
jumping the broom. If you know, you're my friend, so if we were in private, I'd say not jumping, but crawling across the broom. But
well, I jumped the broom. I jumped quite magnificently over the broom. I know what I was getting into, and I'm happy I got into it, and I'm having a good time.
All right, and I know Bella and JJ are enjoying themselves too.
Well, yeah, they went down the aisle without perturbing anything, without barking at anybody. They just walked straight down like they knew what they were doing.
All right. Well, Bishop, we don't have a lot of time. No one to really hold everyone. We'll do as cram as much as we can in. Let's get into it, because uh, there's a a song, and the lyrics of that song, I believe it's Tamala Mann. She sings a song says, "Take Me to the King." And within that song, she says something. She says, "I'm all churched out." When you hear that, it sort of gives us the indication, okay, I've heard so much from church about what we're going through and the times that we're living in. And we're living in some unique times with the murders that are going on, with the economy and the state that it is. I want to ask you, because your wisdom is unparalleled, and your wisdom is far greater than just the pulpit. Your wisdom reaches into practicality. Talk to us from a practical stance, from a practical view, about what do you see as, in my opinion, the general of generals of preachers in this world, not just in this country, but in this world. What do you see is going on in our world and specifically in our country, and what can we do to live a better life, in your view?
Well, when you talk about living a better life, it depends on what it is that you're indicating. A better life from a spiritual point of view, from an inner sufficiency, from the strength of the inner man, liking yourself, being comfortable with whatever situation you're in. We're talking about an inner better life or an outer better life. I think one of the problems we're having today is that the meanest animal in the spiritual or Christian zoo is not the devil. The meanest animal in the zoo is the love of money, not having money, not being broke, but loving money. If you trace the conditions of our world and check closely to see what is the substratum, the underlining, the girth, the undergirth of what is going on around us, it's all about money and the love of money. From our cultural attitude, from our family attitudes, from our community attitudes, from our country attitudes. Look at what we're doing with the ecology. Look at what we do with entertainment, what it is we get joy from. Look at what's happening with drugs and human trafficking, and which is pretty much taking over much. Look at what's happening in the street with our young boys killing one another in our neighborhoods. People are doing mass shootings, and all of it is a frustration that is around economics and the love of money. And so, consequently, we are in a Laodicean time, particularly for the church. The problem with the church is that the church has promoted a lot of discontent, a lot of greed and avarice by health, wealth, and prosperity preaching, not dealing with the fact that people don't come to church to be served. They come to church to pick up some energy to go back into the community and make the community a better place to live. And that's why there is so much frustration and people talking about, well, I've churched out. You've churched out because you get tired of the discourse in the church. You get tired of the offering taking. You get tired of people trying to self-aggrandize in the name of Jesus, while outside of the sanctuary, people are dying and people are losing their way, and many of those people are our own family members. The energy that we should have and the expectation that we should have is based on what we do to make people's lives better. The church was not founded on receiving wealth. The church was founded on somebody hanging on a cross, sacrificing themselves for the benefit of others. And that's why people are sick and tired of just going round, round in circle, having a form of godliness, denying the power thereof, because everybody's seeking to be great instead of seeking to make other people great and other people better. And that's why the world is in the shape it's in. There's too much selfishness, too much ego, maniacal behavior, too much narcissistic behavior, and it seems as if that's what people enjoy. 20 families, and I'm being generous. 20 families want to control the wealth of the whole world. And that's the problem. So we leave people broken. We leave people sleeping at night without having had a clean glass of water. We leave people bathing in rivers with feces, 100 parts per 1 mil of water, and diseases running rampant everywhere. Money is killing the whales, and the ecological system in the ocean is messed up. The ecological system on land is messed up. We are pumping more carbon dioxide in the air. So global changes based on human consumption, based on fossil fuels. We go to war for all of this kind of stuff. And you ask, what is wrong and how we are sick of this and sick of that? That's the reason. Greed is killing us. We will not replenish the earth as we were told. So that's where we are. So until we can begin to become more content with where we are, until we begin to understand we need to use solar instead of fossil fuel, until we begin to understand that we need a group of people in the Congress, in the Senate, and we need the kind of president that cares about everybody else. And that's what it's about.
And so politically, you said we need people that are going to represent us who have that same mentality. You said it's greed. We need people that don't have greed.
Well, how are you going to find them?
How are you going to find them? Right.
How do you expect somebody to spend millions and millions? Do you know how many millions it takes to get in office? The ambition of that individual, first of all, has to be overwhelming. The self-aggrandizement, the narcissism in an individual who's running for office has got to be enormous. They're spending money. Look at the age of these people running around from city to city, town to town, when the normal corporate American would have been retired. These guys are old and running. Look at the Senate. It's the richest Senate that the country has ever experienced, and they don't want to leave office. Why? Because of corporate America's influence. Can you imagine the Supreme Court full of old people tied the EPA's hand to regulate fossil fuels, regulate where you drill for oil, all at the expense of the ecology and all at the expense of our children's children's children? These people are so selfish and so bought that they aren't thinking of anybody in their own genealogical pool except themselves. Yeah. That's where we are.
You're right. What about we hear this and you sit back and you say, well, in a practical sense, the only thing we need to do is vote them out. But then who are you going to vote in that doesn't have the same mindset?
Well, you see, one of the things I said to the folk in South Africa, you all got to stop voting in presidents and cabinet members who were in prison with Mandela. Why? Because when they come out, they think they're owed something. What we need is a new set. Now, they might have that inclination and they might have the proclivity for what we see as the norm in the political arena. They might have that proclivity, but at least it is in its early stages. It has not become a frog yet. It's still a tadpole. And hopefully, between the time that it morphs and the metamorphosis from the tadpole to the frog, we might be able to get something done before they become frog politicians. And hopefully, we will put some terms on these jokers so that when they get to that stage where they're about to become frogs, we put them out. We need tadpoles. We need folk who are still idealistic and still have the energy to want to see other people better, the ecology situated in a way where we can guarantee some time for our kids. We need some tadpole politicians before they become frogs. Their terms need to be up.
You answered my question. I'm laughing because you answered my question before I can get it out. I was going to ask you about term limits because you got some 30 years.
30, 40-year-old, 80-year-old guys. That's why the Chinese run around. When you sit and see our Senate and our leaders sitting with the Chinese, first of all, You're looking at grandfathers looking at that with grandsons. Now, look at the technological advances that's going on now. If you want to figure out a computer, call your grandchild.
You're right.
They are in the mix of the technological advances that these old people are going out from. They too old. They're old. They don't want to determine how people handle their bodies. They're old and they're sold out to the power brokers who run the big corporations. And that's where we are.
Question, my friend. You started off by saying that and I think that was so profound, how you started this conversation. You said the meanest, I believe you said the meanest animal in the zoo is
Yeah,
not
the meanest animal in the Christian zoo
is
is
not
not the devil.
it's the love of money. Okay, I'm sitting
Yeah,
here looking at that. It's the love of money. Now, if I'm going to say that, and the next generation, whether it's my children or grandchildren, are coming along, if I don't correct this love of money, they're going to have that same love of money, and we're going to continue this cycle. Do you think that there needs to be more teaching, practical teaching on money usage, on
without a doubt. I think first of all that Americans need to be taught. See, it's an American problem. And it has spread through the world through all of our international Christian broadcasting networks.
Mhm.
And what we have spread abroad is now infecting even the poor folk in Africa, where the leaders, the church leaders, and the church has promulgated this foolishness. You see, what we need is to promulgate achievement that benefits the other people in the world. That's what we need. We need scientific achievement that makes for crops to be grown in certain places that they can't grow crops now. We need scientific achievement and technological advancement for people who don't have the kind of physical ability to make their lives better. So, what we need to do is to say to our children, we need you to be educated to contribute, not educated to think on how you can best serve yourself. And this will give you a good living. But you are not out here simply studying and working for a good living. You're out here to contribute something to the world. And if it happens to bless you, fine. If you happen to have to go on a leper colony and end up with leprosy, fine. The whole point is that you need to take your skills, you need to take your God given intellect, your God given ability to create things that'll make the world better and not worse, simply because you're trying to have a big bank account.
wow. And that's what right. And so you're going right back to what we're saying about our politicians, our elected officials. Everything is about getting a big bank account for them.
But you can't blame you. You see, you can't. You take the preachers who we say got rich off the folk. Well, the whole point is that they did not exploit the people they preached to. They manipulated them. Now, there's a difference.
Explain that.
Exploitation,
Okay.
exploitation is what America did to the Indians. When they got off, they overpowered them, had the big guns. Exploitation is what the European nations did in Africa. They went down there, they fired them guns, had bigger guns, and they took everything that was there. That's exploitation. Manipulation, exploitation is when a big man rapes a little woman.
Okay.
All right? That's
Okay.
exploitation.
Right.
Manipulation is when you're looking for something out of the deal and somebody manipulates your desire for something and uses it to enslave you or uses it to get over on you. You were looking for something.
Right.
See, what has happened is the avarice that flows in America flows so deeply that some people believe they can get it without working. That's why you got so many thieves, so many manipulators, Shylock, so many people taking advantage of old people. And you only can take advantage of an old person when you promise them something that they want and you're not going to deliver, you're going to take from them. That's manipulation. Well, that's what the preachers did in the church. They brought a message that the people wanted to hear because of the greed of the people. So greed is rampant. So it's like two thieves in a room, but one comes out, one is faster than the other one. So he gets all the goods. The guy who will tell you how to get rich is the only one getting rich because he wrote the book and you bought it. See, this is what I'm saying is that the church is in Laodicea right now. And the church says, I'm rich, I'm full of goods, I've got everything. And what God is saying, yeah, you might have it externally, but you don't have anything internal that is significant enough for me to say you're anything but poor, naked, and blind.
Wow.
Because it ain't about money.
Right.
Money is a byproduct of what it is that you're doing to help somebody else's life.
And that was the clip.
That's how we operate.
And that was the clip as we came on, as we started the clip, that you said it's not about what you have. In that sermon, you said it's not about what you have, but it's what's on the inside of you, that who you are.
Yeah, it's who you are. It's who you are. And that contentment, that self-sufficiency, that knowing who you are stops you from wanting everything that somebody else has, stops you from being, the word would be covetous, stop you from envy, stop you even from what you think you possess, because nobody really owns anything. I've never seen a funeral with a U-Haul behind it. I've never seen a hearse with a U-Haul behind it, where you're hauling your stuff to where you're going. The whole point is nobody really owns anything because you can't take anything with you. The only person who owns anything, being who owns anything, is God. That's why he's a jealous God. He's jealous because in order to be jealous, you got to possess something. Jealousy is a sin for me, but God is a jealous God. Well, does he have a double standard? No. He is the only one who possesses anything. So he doesn't have a double standard. He can be jealous, but I can't be jealous because I don't possess anything. So why should I be so caught up with things that I don't develop who I am? It's who you are that's important. And who you are in Christ, it means that you need to contribute to the benefit of other people's lives, and whatever you get out of it is a byproduct.
Do you think that there's manipulation, or do you think that, or exploitation, whichever one you want to pick, do you think that
No,
became,
it's not whatever you want to pick. You got to be exact with it.
well, let's
I'm a
do
linguist.
let's do the
I'm linguistic. It's
let's do
all right.
manipulation.
Exploitation is when you come in here with a gun.
No, we're not going to do
And
the gun. Let's talk about manipulation. Do you think that manipulation, someone expecting something, do you think that rose with COVID, with people staying out of church so much and coming back in?
not really. It was always there.
It was always
If
there.
anything, what COVID should have done was help us to understand that we can live without having to be in everybody's party. We can live without having a bunch of folk over. We can live without bragging about what it is we need to do and what we're going to do and what we're going to get and who we're going to get it from. We can live and relax a little bit. What COVID taught me was what retirement would feel like, that I don't have to just bustle and hustle and go after everything, because there's a situation where you're not able to do it. And you learn to be content in that space, or else you lose your mind. There are many people who lost their mind during COVID. They're telling me now that 87% of people in the world, up to 90% of the people in the world, are having mental health issues. 90%. I said to the therapist who told me that, the psychologist, PhD doctor, I said to him, that means then that some of the psychologists and therapists are having the same problem. He took it personal and we fell out. He said, you're being sarcastic. No, I'm not being sarcastic. if 90% of the people have the problem, then the healers have the problem too. Unless 10% of the people who don't have the problem are all psychologists. Now, if you can get me to believe that, manipulation comes when I am looking for something out of the deal. It's happened to me in business where I partnered with someone that I knew I shouldn't partner with, but it looked like I could make some easy money. So I put up my money, and then they used guilt when I decided to check how the thing was going. They said, "Oh, well, you don't trust me." Well, that's all part of the game.
Yeah, I was gonna say, isn't that a part of manipulation? Get you to feel
That's
guilt?
all a part of the manipulation. Yeah. This person didn't put a knife to me and take my money. I ran to the bank to give it to him because I was looking for something out of the deal. And that's what happens. You come down here, bring $100, and you got to have the voice. Spirit of the Lord is moving on me now, and I see $100. No, I see $1,000, and I see 10 people that God is speaking to right now. Just bring it right now. And I at 21 days, 21 days, man, you borrow the money and run down there. But at the end of the day, if you don't follow the principles of economics, and if you don't have something to offer that people want, that will bring you financial gain based on what it is you introduce to the world, based on your business acumen, based on something that you give. Henry Ford got rich, but he brought something to the world. We're not against corporate America. We're against those people who will destroy everybody and everything in order to have some gain. Want slave labor. Why is China so powerful? Because American business people and corporations want slave labor. Wow. Slavery made America rich. Nobody wants to pay for the service that people give. That's right. Wow. How much is too much? How much? The corporate, the managers can get fired and leave with $15 to $20 million worth of bonus money based on what they did and don't pay taxes. Wow. Wow. This is why the ghetto is the way it is. This is why the kids are killing each other. They're killing each other and claiming territory when they don't have property over what it is they want for nothing. Wow. That's where we are. And it's not going to get better.
Okay, well.
And I'm not being pessimistic.
No.
I'm just simply saying that we need, he that hath an ear to hear, let him hear, because now we got to speak to those who are chosen. Many are called, few are chosen. We got to reach those who are sensitive enough to be on your program right now.
I'm speechless because you would think, and I really appreciate, I love you, my homeboy, and all that, but I appreciate that because normally at this stage of the interview, I would ask the question, okay, well, how are things gonna get better? And the guest would say, well, it's gonna get better when we do this or do, but you would just blunt and said it's not gonna get better.
It's not gonna get better. Let me tell you.
We're not used to hearing this blatant, raw truth.
It's not going to get better.
We're used to hearing a pie. Oh, it's a sweet pie in the sky, and followed
manipulation.
Because if you said it's getting better, you follow it by saying, "I need everyone to give a $20 seed to this project. Move now, move now, move." But you're just being blatant and saying it's not going to happen.
I don't care how much you give somebody. Some individual is going to get better by what you give, but the whole situation's not going to change. It's a deteriorating situation. It's a deteriorating. Listen, the Supreme Court tied the EPA's hands, who are trying to save a planet, that if it gets 1 more degree centigrade hotter, it's over. It's over. It can't be reversed. If you're living in New York, Miami, if you're living in Boston, if you're living on any coastline in the Maldives, Somebody said it's Maldives, but if you live in Maldives, if you're living on these little islands that are less than a meter over the sea level, they're done.
Yeah.
2100, they're finished. Water will be up to your car if you living in Miami, New York. The waters are getting hotter. The fish are dying in the ocean, swallowing plastic running around like islands in the ocean. They're dumping chemical sewage into the Ganges River and other rivers around the world. The rivers are the lifeblood of the land. It's over.
Wow.
It's over. Look up your redemption joy now. Now is the time for salvation. Now is the time for people to be saved. You're not going to leave heaven to go to heaven. They have ruined the world. Mankind, not the devil.
Man, I love you so much, man. You just wow. You just blow me out of the
I'm
water.
telling you, man.
And for those listening, I will give you a little disclaimer. We have these conversations in private. You just love talking like this and just being real, and that's one of the things.
Man, I'm telling you how it is, man. I'm telling you, if you check the history of the churches, the seven churches, Revelations, Sardis was a dead church. It was true. Then here comes Philadelphia boy.
Yes, sir.
Brotherly love. Here comes Philadelphia. Then the outpouring of the Holy Ghost, Azusa Street. It was marvelous because they came from all over the world to receive the Holy Spirit, speaking in other tongues, glossolalia. Pentecostalism has invaded every single church. They're dancing and speaking in other tongues. And it brought people together, white people, black people. It didn't matter until the racism got so steep. But the Holy Spirit is the single greatest unifier in the universe. When it comes to the Holy Spirit and the Spirit of God, He is so much one that there's neither bond nor free. That's economics. That's rich or poor. There is neither male nor female. That's gender. There is no gender separation. There is either Jew nor Greek. That's racial. There's no racial, financial, or gender separation in God, period. Philadelphia, the church, was on fire. Holy Ghost was falling everywhere. Then we left traditional Pentecostalism. We went to Neo-Pentecostalism. We went from that to charismaticism. Then we went to evangelicalism. Then we went to word of faith. Faith left the heavenlies and being spiritual and connecting to God. In each time, it became more earthly until faith now is about money. So then the fellows who manipulated folk with the word, who don't know anything about Bible, jump up with now faith. Now faith. And the fellows who aren't biblicists at all, but subjective theological expositors who exposit based on their intent, they find the content that they want to use to manipulate and control the people they're talking to. So because of their intent, they found the content, and erroneously they would expostulate the scriptures to their advantage. Now faith.
Wow.
So what they're saying is faith is now for the present, and faith has to be bottled into the house, the car, your bank account. Now faith. Faith is always the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Now faith does not take faith from its future expectation to its present realization. It is always an expectation. So God reveals himself with your yesterday's faith. Then you now don't need faith for his revelation. You have faith for something else. Then he reveals. Then you have faith. So faith, revelation, then faith, faith. So The righteousness of God is revealed from faith to faith. Faith is all about relationship with God, not about relationship with cars and houses and shoes and clothes. And I have all of that. I'm not a hater. I have all of the best of whatever you can think of. And what I don't have, I didn't want. And where I didn't go, I didn't want to go. So I'm not a hater talking to people who have because I ain't got nothing. That ain't it. The whole point is in having it, you discover it ain't it. So at the end of the day, you find that when we reduce faith to earthly things, it separated us from God. So where is Jesus now, church folk? He's outside knocking, trying to get in his own church. He was rejected by his people. He came to his own received him not. He was rejected by the world, that is, the Gentiles, the Jews, and the Christians crucified him. Now he's being thrown out of his own church.
I've got one final question. I've
Yeah.
got one final question. Would you
Yes.
come back and do this again with me?
Oh yes, I'll come back and do it, and it'll be worse when I come back if we don't hurry up and do it.
Y'all heard him right. Y'all heard him right.
It ain't going to get better. White supremacy is not going away.
Oh, we got to come back and talk. We got to talk about this.
Have you ever heard of the Berlin? I want everybody to check out the Berlin Conference. How the Europeans divided Africa. Now the Chinese trying to get it.
We have got to get Bishop Noel Jones back on. You all heard him say he's coming back. We're going to get him back.
I'm coming back.
We're out of time, but thank you so much, my friend, for taking time out of your busy, hectic, beyond measure schedule. I'd like to think that you did it because you love me a little bit.
All because of you. All because of you.
I appreciate it. To our listeners, to the Underground Subway listeners, thank you for joining us. I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to listen to the Underground Subway. I take it not for granted that you spent some time listening, whether you're on the treadmill, whether you're in the office listening with your headphones on, or walking around the house listening on the Bluetooth. I want to thank you for joining us. Again, a special thank you to my friend and my brother, Bishop, let me get his name correct, the Bishop Noel Jones. Thank him for spending time with us here on the Underground Subway, and we're looking forward to a return visit for him to come and talk about more issues. We definitely can't squeeze everything into a little 30-minute block. Bishop has 30 years worth of conversation that he can talk about. 30 minutes just isn't enough. But we want to thank him, and we want to thank you. Well, I hear the music playing in the background. The music is playing, which means that the Underground Subway is pulling into the next station, and that means that it's your turn to jump off. But we're going to come back next time with another guest and another opportunity to help you live a better life. But I want to challenge you before the train slows down, the night before you go to bed. I want to challenge you to find a mirror somewhere. Look yourself in the eyes, stare yourself right in the face, and ask yourself this question. Today, did I do something to make this world a better place, or did I waste another day? I'm David Austin, host and conductor of the Underground Subway. We'll see you next time right here.